What is this longing?
When Ogier are away from the steading, we begin to suffer ill effects. Our health declines until eventually...
What are they doing? They're just standing there and talking.
Hey, this is the Sword and the Pen Reflections. It is my casual alternative to that channel. And this one's gonna be real casual, I hope, because I'm wearing my comfy clothes. I'm just stressed out. Anyway, we are looking at Amazon's Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 2, and its corresponding chapters, which I asked for help from people in my Discord who are more familiar with this because it was coming from all over the place. We've got Perrin's stuff is mostly from The Shadow Rising, which is book 4. A lot of the stuff happening inside the White Tower seems to be kind of from The Dragon Reborn, which is the 3rd book. And then with Rand, we have some things that happened in book 2, and then we jump ahead to book 4. So it's just everywhere at this point. But anyway, in the spirit of not wasting too much time, I just want a quick reminder, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. That really does help boost this video in the algorithm. And actually, I'm really close to 10,000 subscribers, which would be awesome to hit. I don't know if you get like a prize for doing that or something, but I'm curious to find out. Or if you're feeling super generous, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the money heart thanks button down below. You can become a subscriber and join me in the Discord. We do movies every week, or not week, month. Sometimes we do them more frequently than that. Or you can leave me a one-time tip on Ko-fi or with the money heart thanks button down below. And even $1 goes a long way with me, because if I've got clips on here from Wheel of Time, there's a really good chance that I don't make any money off of that because Amazon claims my whole videos. So I don't have control over the advertisements. I don't have any idea where they appear or how frequently. And I know I don't make any money off of them. So anyway, that's it. Let's get into this. Freaking hair. By the way, as with my past episode critiques, we're not going to do this chronologically through the episode. We're going to go by character arc because it's just much easier to look at their arc individually, like on its own, instead of breaking it up. Anyway, that's what we're doing. Very first scene, we are introduced to Queen Morgaze, who is obviously Elaine's mother, and Elida, whose actress has the most incredible voice.
I told you this day would come, Your Majesty.
I love just about everything that she is in because of her voice.
Stand down and let her speak.
I don't care if the lines are trash. I don't care if the story makes sense.
Did you ride camels? No, I just saw them in the movies. Mashallah. Did you meet Stephen and realize you were gay, then get separated? Jilling, 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 jilling.
Utterly charming.
I just adore her voice and I want to hear more of it. So I've got something new to look forward to. I don't even know what it is. It's like listening to a leopard purr.
Delicious. There's nothing more delicious but
Slow down.
being
Just slow down. Just say delicious again.
delicious.
Yeah.
Anyway, Elaine is obviously in her mother's belly at this time because we've got her rubbing her tummy, and then she goes out into a throne room and addresses a crowd.
Since Queen Mordrellin's death, our nation has suffered the great uncertainty of a succession war. Many of you in this room were my rivals, and I yours. But that war is over now because I won it.
People don't seem very pleased. I doubt that the war would be over. Anyway, she promises that she's here to, bring everybody together and heal the wounds and create peace. She then says, "Swear yourselves to me and nothing you have done will be held against you. My only goal now is to bring our great nations into a time of peace." Everybody looks kind of questioning, but they all slowly start saying, "All right, I swear the fealty and soldiers of House Baron to your throne, Queen Morgaze of House Tracond," and then basically they all we agree, we swear ourselves to you. So they held up their end of the bargain. Then Morgaze says, "All of your actions against me in the past are forgiven."
But I cannot see my daughter and our great nation suffer another succession war.
Long live the Queen.
Nobody's gonna be upset about this, I'm sure. Everybody's just totally on board with, yeah, sure, kill the person who's in charge of our entire house. This should be the beginning of a war. Anyway, everybody just seems to be fine with this. Hooray! Peace has been established in Andor. I really don't see how anybody could be okay with this. This absolutely did not happen in the books, so it's all being made up, and all I can conclude from this is Elaine's mother is evil. She is evil. There is no justification for this. She literally did this in order to ensure that she maintains power indefinitely, like that her household maintains power indefinitely. That's evil. That is so evil. I don't understand why the little girl had to be killed. I mean, she's probably easily manipulated. Why didn't you invite her to come and hang out with you? And then you can sort of, persuade her to come and be part of your... Didn't Elaine in the previous episode just say that peaceful transfer of power is always the preference? Where did she learn that? Not from her family, obviously. Anyway, next scene. Wait. I do have to... What are these nurses wearing? Like, what is on their heads? I mean, I love the details in the costumes and stuff. Like, that's actually something about this show that I'm really appreciating. I mean, whether they work for this story or not, I just like that the details in the costumes show a lot of work was put into them. But what the hell are these caps that these girls are wearing? They look like they're made out of paper mache or toilet paper. It's really weird. But okay. All right. Anyway, we jump to the White Tower where Elaine is scrubbing floors and she overhears Varen and Leanne talking in the hall about who to trust, and she's peering around at them, but they notice her and then they go up to her and ask her like, hey, your mom's in town. Do you have any idea why? And Elaine's like, no clue. I mean, didn't she just send her a letter? I don't know. So Elaine's just lying. Okay. We see this elaborate procession where they're even tossing rose petals on the floor of Morghese wearing this incredible cone around her neck as she approaches the doors to the main hall of the Amerlin seat. And inside, the Amerlin seat and all the sitters are just sitting there in silence, and they just sit there staring at the door, but not letting anybody in. I don't appreciate this sort of a power play thing. I think it's kind of cliche and silly, but whatever, that's what they're doing. Anyway, eventually Suan lets them in and we get introductions to each of the characters. First one is Galad, which I seem to recall is not his full name. It's kind of his nickname. I don't know why they wouldn't use his full name when they're whatever. Anyway, then we've got Lord Gawain of House Drakon, first Prince of the Sword. And then Leanne sort of pauses when she sees Gabriel, and then suddenly is like, oh, yes, Lord Gabriel, forgive me, the prince consort of the queen. And this is the first hint that he is not who he says he is, which I thought this was actually pretty good. He's a dark friend. He's a Forsaken. But he's basically confounding everybody. What was it? Compulsing everybody. And I didn't know that you could compulse somebody, like so many people, but apparently he's compulsed everybody around him. That's really, really freaking powerful. So in the book, it was basically just one person. He confounded or compulsed just Queen Morghese, and everybody does what she says. So when he was like, get rid of this person, tell this person to go away, whatever, they just did it. But anyway, we'll get more to that later. But he's apparently confounded everybody in this room the moment he walked in. Then we get Elida Sedai of the Red Aja, advisor to the queen, and everybody's kind of whispering like, oh, it's her. But she comes in politely, mother, and then Suan says, welcome home, daughter. And then we get Queen Morghese and all of her titles.
Where's my daughter?
The novices are all well into their chores by this time of day.
And what time of day are they kidnapped?
Oh, burn!
You swore to me when I sent my daughter to you, Suan, that you
Daughter, you forget yourself. While you wear that ring, you will address me as befits the Amerlin seat.
She's trying to play the power thing still, which I just see it's... Anyway, I'm really glad that Morghese says these next few things, but I'm just going to read off exactly how she says this because I actually liked this. She says, forgive me, mother. You have not had a child of your own, so perhaps you do not know the power of that word, what it means to go to sleep at night and wake in the morning wondering at your daughter's breath. If you did, you would know that I will not leave this tower until I have set eyes on Elaine and know that everything that happened to her. I mean, that statement just totally wins. And Suan goes, leaders and mothers are not so different, perhaps, in that we will both defend our own, like a lionfish defends its den. I'm sorry, but Morghese totally won that back and forth. No questions asked. Suan is kind of being made to look weaker and more foolish and petty. That started really in the previous episode, but this one is where it really starts to come forward. I do not like what they're doing with Suan. And if that's the goal of what they're doing in the show, like, because they want to show that she's actually not a good leader, then I guess they're accomplishing that. But see, in the books, it was different. In the books, she wasn't doing the wrong thing, but she still ends up losing, in a sense, without going too much into what happens. And here it just seems like they want to show that she's not a good leader, she's losing and it's because she deserves it. Okay, like she should be outed. Anyway, she says, yeah, show everybody to where they're going to be staying. I'll take Queen Morghese to her daughter myself.
They told me you'd be in here.
I love how dorky Elaine's smile is when she comes through those doors. They told me you'd be in here. That looks like real, genuine joy. So good on the actress for pulling that. And she immediately goes to Gowan and is like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. And then to Gabriel, she pauses before saying, oh, it's you. You know, so again, we're having more evidence of him using compulsion on her. And with Galad, it is a very formal greeting. And Galad remarks that they should have been there to protect Elaine, that she's been too sheltered and she doesn't know anything about the world and whatnot. And Elaine is like, gosh, is he even more irritating than before? And they're like, yeah. And Elaine basically says, well, now that you guys are here, maybe Mom will let you stay and then you can start your warder training. And they're like, don't you know why we're here? And she's like, no. I actually really liked the interactions here. My only question was, how the heck did Elaine know where their quarters were and where they would be and know to be there before the Amerlin seat got Morghese to her? But I don't know. I mean, Elaine must have just dropped her chores and run over there, but I don't know if that's whatever. Okay. This is actually fine. It just shows some disobedience under the Amerlin seat. Like, I feel like we're reinforcing the idea that the Amerlin seat doesn't really have, she's not a good leader. She's not somebody that people respect. Like, there isn't a fear in Elaine. I better keep doing my chores until someone lets me go because I'm going to get in trouble if I do. And then also the fact that she could figure out where they're staying and get to their room before Siuan brings Morghese to her daughter. Like, okay. I don't know if there's a better way to explain it other than I feel like this is a system that should be, Siuan has total control of it. And in this case, where Elaine gets to her family before Morghese and Siuan get to her, sort of shows that Siuan is not in perfect control of it. She is not even in perfect control, but she is not the one at the highest position of power. But that's a really small, superficial complaint. Otherwise, I love the way that this whole set is dressed up very nicely. Everything looks really good. And I enjoyed the mood that we had in here. I liked Elaine's interactions with her brothers and with Gabriel. It was pleasant. In the next scene, we're continuing with Siuan just appearing very weak in all of this.
I know Elaine's important, better than anyone. The alliance between Andor and the White Tower is the axis upon which peace in the Westlands exists. And Light knows there have been enough challenges to that peace as it is.
I must admit, Siuan, if this is strategy, it's very disarming.
We both know what's required of us in public. I mean it, Morghese. Sadly, this tower is not immune to the changing tides which threaten to overturn us all. I guarantee Elaine is safer here than anywhere else in the world.
You a rotten liar.
She's apologizing to Morghese for what happened with Elaine. And like, I know that, man, we really need Andor. Like double down on that we are weak. I just don't think that this is something that Siuan from the books would have done. She doesn't ever give off her weaknesses. It's kind of part of the Aes Sedai facade that they all wear, but she especially doesn't ever do this. And she says that, oh my gosh, it's been so challenging just to keep the peace here, you know, even without all of this stuff. Like, she's indicating that she's struggling just to maintain peace in the realm, and then admitting that she lost control of Elaine and almost ruined the peace between the White Tower and Andor. I'm glad that Morghese actually comments on this. She's like, dude, this is, if it's an act, it's really disarming. And then Siuan says, you know, oh, we all put on our facades in public, but, you know, we don't have to do that between us. I just don't see this as being a book accurate Siuan, and I'm not sure why they are doing it in the show, except to make Siuan weak and not a good leader, and not very Aes Sedai-like, so that when she finally gets deposed, because that's going to happen if they're going to follow the books in that way, that there's a really good reason for it, like that it was justified, which it really should be, because excluding the Reds from that meeting where they were literally like going after one of their own, like one of the Reds, that shows that she could literally bully any one of the different Ajas and exclude them. That's a really bad precedent to set. And any time that when you're in a position of power, especially if it's a position that that you receive by vote. You should remember, if I implement a law or I put something into action, like in this case, taking advantage of something that apparently is a custom or a rule or whatever, if you do it, first of all, that rule should not exist. If you do that, chances are it's the first thing that the group that you oppose is going to do if they ever get into power. So when the Reds do come into power, I fully expect that they're going to exclude the Blues or whoever it is that they don't want to be part of the tower operations. They're going to immediately, you are no longer welcome in the hall for anything. Why wouldn't they do that? It was done to them. And actually, if the Reds, the 3 Red Sitters, had been in that room, they might have been able to take out the Black Aja girls who exposed themselves, because they would be 3 women who know how to fight men who can channel. So they would be used to fighting people who can channel. But they couldn't do that because they had to have the Black Aja win and get away. And so if you had the Reds in there, okay, I see why the show did it. It's just weak and it's going to cause problems going forward. And then Suan, after, apologizing to Morghese, says, I guarantee Elaine is safer here in the tower than anywhere else in the world. This to me sounds like a total lie, which would be breaking one of her oaths, because they just uncovered a whole bunch of Black Aja, and they don't even know if those were all of them, because we did have a yellow who appeared out of nowhere and joined the fight with the other Black Aja. Why wouldn't there be more in the tower? Which there are. If Varen and Leanne are concerned about there could be more, she should be too, and be aware of that possibility. And so this is a lie. How is she safer here in the tower with Black Aja, Aes Sedai, who serve the Dark Ones? How could she be safer there than in a place where there are no Aes Sedai? And then they knock on a door, and somehow Elaine has teleported back into her room. If Suan had taken Morghese directly from the hall to the novices' quarters, right to her door, which is what it looks like she has done, how the hell did Elaine get from her chores to her family's quarters and then back to her room before Suan and Morghese got there? Okay, that's just a logistic thing. And, when you watch a show like this, where it's broken up the different perspectives across the entire thing, watching those perspectives one right after another really exposes this sort of thing. And you find a lot more flaws like this. Everybody can teleport in this show. Anyway, Elaine answers the door and says, Mother, to Suan, and then her actual mother steps out and she goes, oh, Mother, that was cute. I appreciate that. And Suan dismisses herself and they close the door and she walks away. She's acting a bit, I don't know, she's not acting like an authority here. Whatever. Okay, we're moving on. So now we're with Morghese and Elaine in her room, and she's like, oh, let me look at you and make sure you're okay. And she's like, oh, you look just like I did in my novice's way. And she's like, now show me your room. It's much bigger than I remembered. And Elaine's like, yeah, nobody ever calls these rooms big. It does look awfully big for having no furniture in it. I'm just now thinking about this, but this seems to me like the kind of room where you would have multiple novices staying at once, not just one, because it's a huge amount of space for just one person. But I guess if it's the White Tower and they were so powerful that they could afford to give even their novices this kind of privacy, then fine. Heck, Nynaeve has a suite. Okay, so Elaine asks, how was your time with the Amerlin seat? And Morghese is like, well, she's hiding something, as is everybody here. I mean, does nobody else know that the Black Aja attacked? I think the whole town would know, because they could literally see flames and smoke billowing from the tower, and then there was a freaking war that happened right in the streets. This is not a secret. They cannot guarantee the secrecy of everybody. I guarantee you that Morghese, at least in the books, maybe the show is unestablishing that the Aes Sedai and people of royalty are really well connected. They literally have their network and their spies. Well, wait, but they did it with Moraine and her sister in Camelot. Well, it's supposed to be here too. Morghese should know exactly what's been happening in Tar Valon, because she would have people who report to her who are there and pick up on this stuff. And the Black Aja in the tower coming out and killing a bunch of people, that is not a secret. There is no way for the tower to have kept that a secret. Not with the level of publicity they got just being out in the public. What? Oh, whatever, never mind.
How was your time with the Amerlin?
Interesting as ever. She's hiding something.
As is everybody here.
including my own daughter.
She really does seem to be at a loss as to what happened. I don't think this is an act. I don't think that she's like pretending she doesn't know what happened, but I just don't see how she couldn't know what would happen. Like, how could you not know what happened? And Elaine goes, we've been told not to say anything because it's internal tower business only. It's not that private if there's literally a battle in the streets. And it was two separate parts of the city. It was the Alana battle where she tore up a whole road. And then it was the Suan battle where they collapsed a bell tower. This was not a secret. Well, so Morghese is like, well, at least I know where I stand in the pecking order, but no, it's okay. I know that, you have to be obedient to Suan. But then she goes on and says, like, I can wait for you to tell me tomorrow. And Elaine's like, what is going on tomorrow? And basically Morghese is saying, you're coming home with me. Like, after everything that you've been, I thought you would be begging to leave, like to want to come home. She's like, you're going to get your serpent's ring, your honorary serpent's ring tomorrow, and then you're going to come home. And your time here at the tower will be done. And Elaine's like, I have not learned anything here. She has hardly been at the tower, really. So I totally understand what Elaine is saying. And her mother's like, oh, but I've been told that you're, super powerful. Like, you're one of the most powerful Aes Sedai. And I actually am on Morghese's side in all of this. I don't think that Elaine is safe at the tower. This is more like a conversation that would happen between a mother and daughter, but I do expect a really strong argument from Elaine why she should stay there. And I don't seem to recall we getting that. Like, I've only seen this episode once before, and I just can't remember how it goes. But yeah, so then Morghese gives the argument that really should trump all of them, and that is that you are the heir to the throne of Andor, the only one. So she's saying you owe your life to Andor, like to continue the rule, and you need to come home and be safe because we can't risk your life, and you just had a great big life scare just now. And there's no argument against that. Like, Elaine better have one really good comeback to this. I can't remember what it is, but like, those are really strong arguments. Before we continue, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It's a free way for you to support the channel, and for me, it might bring in some money from all the commercials they keep putting on my videos. Or if you're feeling super generous, check out my Patreon or Ko-fi. I've got links in the description. Or you can hit the money heart thanks button down below. Now, let's get back to it.
What are you hearing among the Reds?
My sisters are being very tight-lipped. Swan has this tower under lockdown. Whatever happened here recently, it was significant.
Okay, so Morghese must have left her daughter's room and she meets up with Elaida in the hall. I do not like that you can see novices walking past, like, definitely within earshot. I'm sorry. They should have been meeting in a private room somewhere where they know they can't be overheard, but whatever. Okay. It just seems like a very silly conversation. There's no way they couldn't know what happened, but I gotta get past that because it just doesn't make sense. We're just gonna keep going. Actually, we are gonna stay with this subject because the next piece of this conversation kind of undermines all that. So Morghese asks, is Suan losing support in the hall? And Elaida says, there's a real fear amongst the sisters, which is uncommon, but we cannot underestimate the support she engenders. I made that mistake once before. So we can assume that Elaida is going to be much smarter this time as she does stuff in the tower. Then Morghese says, and anything more about what happened to Elaine? Who took her? And Elaida says, it seems the tower had a dark friend right under their nose. And Morghese goes, Suan said as much. I don't really recall her ever saying that. She goes, unthinkable as it is, the fact that she told me makes me very worried that it was something worse. She's just straight up lying here. How could they know that, but not know that the Black Aja just blasted their way out of the tower? If Elaine didn't tell them, how did they even find out that she got kidnapped? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm going to jump into what will be the Matt line here just a little bit because it's crossing over here. But we've got Suan and Varen and Leanne talking, and they're like, oh my gosh, Elaida's going to be trouble if she's poking her nose. And Suan's like, don't worry, she's not going to be here very long. We got the Black Aja to worry about. Like, she's looking so dumb. But okay. Then she asks Varen, what does our seer say? And we bring in Min. And I'm just thinking, what the hell is Min doing here? First of all, she was in Camelin. Why would she come to Tar Valon? This is like the last place she would want to go. Like, again, this does not make any sense. She is somebody who does not want her power exploited. And she was approached by the Forsaken. Like, did Matt not tell anybody about Min? Does he not know that maybe she doesn't know that Min is here at this point, but he should tell somebody as soon as he finds out she's there, because she admitted to being in league with the enemy. So Perrin explains that she has had Min in the tower, trying to put her around as many important Aes Sedai as possible. Basically like, hopefully she picks up on something. And Min's like, yeah, I've been having visions of like, there's a lot of dead Aes Sedai, like something bad's gonna happen here. But I'm still wondering, like, how did Perrin get in touch with Min? How did this happen? It seems like there's a hole in here, and it doesn't really make any sense that Min would voluntarily go into this position. Because in the book, she's basically delivering a message, and she gets to the White Tower, and they sort of entrap her there. They're like, you're stuck here now, you're not leaving. And she doesn't want to be here, but she has to be. This looks like it was a voluntary move on her part, but I really don't understand why she would be here. Like, we want to use your power. Like, we want to make sure that we know what's going to happen. Like, you are our seer. But she wouldn't want that. She wouldn't. What did Perrin say to convince her to come to the tower? Come and help us? That doesn't seem like something she would do. The only thing she wanted was to disappear, not be known by anybody who could take advantage of her power. So what was told to her to convince her to come to the tower? Okay. I'll have to think a lot more about this one, I think. Anyway, so she's informing them of there's going to be a battle here in the White Tower, and Suwan's like, oh no, when? And she's like, I don't know, my visions don't tell me. It could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years from now. Like, what else do you want me? I really don't think that Min would ever put herself in a position where she is going to be basically just a tool used for her visions. That is the opposite of what her character has been built up as in the show. In the books, she was happy to tell people when she felt like, I've seen something that's going to be important for you to know. I mean, she tells people about people dying in the tower when she's there, and she doesn't even know that's going to happen until she gets there. And she was there to deliver a message. Like, she's more helpful and willing to put herself on the line in the books than she is here. I don't understand why she did this.
Didn't think that you'd be in for this kind of thing, Nynaeve.
I think everyone is in for this kind of thing, man.
So, who are these tossers?
My brothers.
So, they're princes or something?
And they act like it. Entitled bastards. No offense, Elaine.
None taken. Coming from someone sleeping with an actual king.
So glad that we are keeping up this pattern of Elaine putting Nynaeve in her place. And I gotta say, Nynaeve is coming off as more likable when she just gets her ass handed to her like this. She should be ashamed of herself for making such a comment when she is literally sleeping with a king. But anyway, they have a little bonding moment where Nynaeve notices that Elaine is not very happy to have her brothers there. And Elaine's like, yeah, well, my family doesn't really go anywhere without having like a dozen different plots that they're hatching. And that's just what you can see on the surface. And Nynaeve remarks, that doesn't really seem like you at all. Like, why are you the odd duck out of all of this? And I gotta admit, like, yeah, why? If she grew up in a family that does this, why is she different? She's literally the heir. Why would she not be exactly like the rest of her family, even in a slight bit? Like, I mean, what we've seen of the brothers so far, they're likable. This kind of goes away later, but I was like, that's the thing that makes them all like each other, like alike, I mean, is that Elaine is sociable and friendly, and she seems to be that with at least Gawain and Gabriel, but that's fake. I do not see her mother in her at all. But okay, so we then go back to Suwan in her office or whatever, and we see her putting a note in a box, which she then locks with the one power. And this is pointed out so deliberately that I know, at least I think I know what this is going to be, because the desks having information like this, just sitting on the top of it and then putting them in the box, like that will become important, I think, or it should be later on in the story. It just seemed whatever. Okay. I mean, hey, if they're slipping this in here to come into play later on, like this is Chekhov's gun when we see it the first time and we're going to see it later, then that's one of the first times I've seen the show actually do this. So good job there. But Suwan has called the two of them to her office. So Nynaeve and Elaine walk in.
Leandrin and her sisters went, but how many of their number did they leave behind?
I don't understand.
You're the only two in the tower, I can be absolutely sure, are not Black Arja. Even Perrin, even Lyanna.
I'm a little surprised at that. I do recall in the books that she kind of loops Perrin into all of this. But anyway.
Who knows how deep the Shadow's roots have taken hold here. What I do know is I will rip them out.
She sounds awfully confident for somebody who has really very little power now and has shown to possibly even be aware of that. It's just odd. It's just odd. Okay. But at least she took Min's warning seriously. I seem to recall when Siuan got the message about the battle that was to come, I felt a bit like she disregards Min's warning. And here, though, in the show, they're saying it seems like she doesn't exactly disregard it, but she just, when it's told to her, gives off that appearance. But here in the show, they are demonstrating that she is concerned about that, which she should be, because she has been shown to be a much weaker leader in this.
What does that have to do with us?
You're to be my hounds.
She should have called them sharks, not hounds, because that would have fit in with her metaphors being related to water and fish. But anyway, Elaine points out something very obvious. Why us? Like, we're novices. We can't do anything. Nynaeve can't even channel. And she comes back at her with, actually, the two of you are easily a match for Liandrin, and she's the most powerful of all of them. And then she points out, like, Nynaeve, Liandrin did not kill you in the tower when she, or in the hall or whatever, when she had the chance. Did she say hall or tower? Let me double check. Yeah, she says she could have killed you in the hall and she didn't. When could she have killed her in the hall? During that whole battle, Liandrin was shielded and floating in midair. There was no opportunity for her to kill Nynaeve at all. And by the time Nynaeve was knocked out under some boulders, I mean, Liandrin still wasn't free at that point. Oh, why didn't Liandrin kill everyone in the hall? But she's implying that Liandrin likes Nynaeve and is a weakness for Liandrin. So that's one of the advantages of having Nynaeve be one of the ones, going after her, basically. And then Siuan says, Elaine's going to go through the arches tonight, and then Perrin is going to give you all the information that we have on the Black Sisters and Liandrin and whatnot. But she just said you can't trust Perrin. What? So did she inform Perrin that she's going to have these two girls hunting them down? Like, which is it? Does she trust Perrin or not trust Perrin? So in the books, Elaine and Egwene go through the arches pretty much around the same time, and then they have to spend some time coping and getting over the trauma of going through them together. And she assigns this, I believe, to Egwene and Nynaeve because she's trying to get around endangering Elaine, or she's trying to get around having to lie about endangering Elaine. In the show, she just, a couple of minutes ago, had a conversation with Morghese about how she would never, I'm so sorry I put your daughter at risk, and, don't worry, I'm not going to do that again, or basically the same thing. But here she is, like, right under Morghese's nose doing this. It seems like she's taking a very stupid risk here. Like, wait at least until Morghese is left and then do this. But whatever, we're moving on. But so Nynaeve points out, why should we even trust you? And Siuan's like, that's exactly how I want you guys to think. Wait, okay, apart from the things that I've pointed out that I don't like about what this is all doing, the flow of the dialogue here and the fact that it's all present tense stuff is good. We're not sitting here talking about things that have happened in the past. We're just ignoring the things that have happened in the past that make some of the stuff they're talking about not work. But anyway, when you are writing to show instead of tell, you want your characters to be expressing things that are relevant to the present, not informing the audience of stuff that has already happened or information that they need in order to understand what's going to happen. You want to bring your characters on the journey of discovery. And I was a little bit scared that we were going to not follow the girls on their hunt for clues. And that was fun. I loved reading about that stuff. It was fun to be with the girls hunting down the Black Aja and, okay, where are they going to pick up their clues next? All right, they get to this city where they think that they are. How are they going to find them? What are they going to do? And following them on that journey, being with them as they discover the next clues, that's part of the immersion in the story. So I'm glad they're doing this here. Like, the dialogue has gotten better in this episode so far. And it's mostly stuff that came from the books. Like, a lot of this is straight out of the books. It's almost like when you follow the books, it feels a lot better. Aye.
The amulet wasn't telling us the whole truth.
Does any Aes Sedai ever?
I saw Perrin and Lyanna arguing this morning, deep in the tower. There's something more going on with them. I know it.
I'm not sure that they should be feeling that they're totally on Siuan's side. I mean, Nynaeve literally just expressed something that they should be feeling, which is we don't even know if we can trust the Amyrlin seat. And yet Elaine's reaction here is something that you would expect from somebody who wants the Amyrlin seat to be protected. Because if you've got Lyanna and Perrin arguing about who to trust and who not to trust, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit too much about it. Like, we'll see how this plays out, but either way, I am glad that they are going through this whole step. I just wish the girls would be a little more secretive when they're talking about this stuff, when literally anybody could be the Black Aja. All right, and then Nynaeve points out the very truth, which is, yeah, we don't even need to trust the Amyrlin seat to do what needs to be done. The truth is somebody's got to find Liandrin, and the Black Aja, if there are any here in the tower, they're gonna kill again. So we got to figure out who it is, and we've got to get rid of them. So, all right, smart. This is a statement of what the intention is going to be, what the stakes are. Like, they will have another coup in the tower. I guess the thing that they must have sensed that she wasn't telling them is that there is going to be death in the tower, because Siuan did get that information from Min earlier. So that could be what they're indicating they were suspicious of. See, in the book that didn't happen because Min told the tower about her visions after Egwene and Nynaeve were given the task of hunting down the Black Aja. So this conversation didn't have to happen, and they didn't have to feel like Siuan was hiding something from them, because she wasn't. She basically just said, look, they left and they've got a bunch of our stuff. You got to go and get that stuff that they took. And we've also got to root out the Black Aja. Like, you got to go and find them. And so they're like, okay. So they went and did it.
The only people I trust to do that are you and me.
Nynaeve, I think the Amyrlin might have had another reason to put me into this. My mother came here to take me back to Camelin. We leave tomorrow.
Why would that be a reason that Siuan would give this job to her daughter? Yes, it doesn't really make why would that be another reason for Siuan to assign this to Elaine and Nynaeve? I'm confused. Like, if you're giving this job to them and they're supposed to be looking for clues, chances are they need to be in the tower to do this, but Elaine is leaving. It doesn't make any sense. And then Nynaeve says something really stupid. Like, she's like acting like a teenager again.
What? No, you can't leave. Not now. You're going to be accepted. My duty is to the Lion Throne.
And is the Lion Throne under threat? Your mother looks well in control of everything to me. I should have known better than to...
You girls are so dramatic. Do I need to call you a wambulance?
Wah, 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 wah.
This is contrived. This is not good. They should have seen this together as an obstacle. Inserting this into the conversation does not fit at all. The way that they did it with the like, oh, I think there must be another reason that Siuan assigned this to us. That does not lead to, like, it's just, I'm so confused. Why would that be a reason that Siuan would assign this to them? Like, if you know Elaine is about to leave, why would you assign this to Elaine and Nynaeve? And then for Nynaeve to act this way, the first thing that they should have done is turn around and gone back to the Amyrlin seat and been like, what do we do? She's gonna leave tomorrow. They are going to try and leave her. And maybe they could collaborate and like, how do we figure out how to keep Elaine here? Maybe Siuan, in a conversation with Morghese, could figure out some way to help persuade her, but she's acting too weak to do that for sure in the show, so I don't know. But yeah, Nynaeve just storms off like a really immature teenager. Anyway, Elaine goes into her mother's room, presumably to try to talk to her, and nobody's there. And so she goes over and she's trying on her mother's crown and kind of looking at herself in the mirror. And then Gabriel shows up and she's startled and puts the crown down. And he's like, hey, I brought this bottle of alcohol from the kitchen. And he's like, you know, you promise you won't tell on me? And she's like, only if you won't tell on me. And then they move to the sitting area and start drinking. I guess this is what they were. They were drinking buddies in his manipulation of her memories. But the thing is I think people who don't have an awareness of he is the bad guy would just see this and be like, this is so nice. Like, I love this relationship that the two of them have, because this conversation is very pleasant. I think that the Forsaken in this show might be the good guys. But yeah, so she asks, where's mom? And Gabriel's like, oh, she's off politicking. And she's like, where are my brothers? And like, well, they just put on a little show in front of all the novices. Where do you think they are? And she's like, oh my gosh.
I was really hoping he wasn't serious earlier about Mother wanting me home.
I know, sweetheart.
I'm not ready to go back.
Your mother would never tell you this herself, especially not here, but she's facing challenges at home.
The flow of this conversation is very natural and very nice. Like, whoever wrote the dialogue here should probably be writing the dialogue for the rest of the show. But then again, these are probably the two most likable characters that we have in this season so far. So Elaine speculates that the trouble is coming from the other houses, which she should speculate that because everybody should be coming after Morghese at some point because she literally had the heirs to all of those houses killed off. Not the heirs, but the leaders. But Gabriel is like, no, it's the military. It was so bad that she had to dismiss General what's-his-face, the general. It doesn't matter here. But yeah, all this stuff did happen in the books. Of course, we were in Morghese's head when we learn about all of this stuff, unless it happened on page somewhere and I can't remember. I remember Morghese becoming aware that this happened and being like, what have I done? Because she is doing stuff right now under Gabriel's compulsion and she doesn't realize it. So she's going to snap out of this and suddenly be like, holy crap, what have I been doing? I did not mean to do any of this stuff. Yeah, so Elaine is like, I had no idea that was what was going on. I didn't hear about any of this. And he goes, yeah, for the first time, your position as heir is vulnerable. And, let's keep this between us. I know that your mother would have told you eventually, but I felt you had a right to know now. He wants her to come home. And the reason is because he needs to get her in a position away from the power of the tower where she is more vulnerable so he can kill her. That's his plan. At least in the books, that's his plan. But otherwise, I really love this fake relationship that the two of them have. Then the conversation is closed off with him going, you know what, I'd really love to have you home anyway. I can't stand being around just your brothers. All they do is train. And she's like, need somebody with sense back in the household. And she's like, sense, all we do is hang around and get blasted. It's sweet. I like this. I think Gabriel might be the good guy. Next scene, we've got Elaine and Gabriel have still been sitting there, but Morghese walks in and Gabriel gets up and dismisses himself. And the first thing Elaine says is, I'm not going home with you. She just heard some pretty good reasons for herself to leave. I'm not coming with you, Mother. And she goes, is that so? And Elaine's like, yeah, since I was a child, I've worried about filling your shoes. A queen who can out-strategize and outmaneuver any opponent, who fought and won a war for the crown when she was younger than I am now. But the truth is, I can't follow in your footsteps. Well, good, because your mother is evil. She goes, I must forge my own path. I'm sorry, but this, to me, it's a leap. Everything that she has heard up to this point should be, you have to go home. Your mother's kingdom it's in jeopardy and you're the heir. You should be there to establish yourself as the daughter heir. What is it that is changing her mind? Was it Nynaeve's guilt trip? That's all that we had. Nynaeve, I should have known I couldn't trust or depend on, a princess or whatever. And then she storms off. That was what changed Elaine's mind. I just don't. It's weak. But yeah, so her mother says, the last daughter heir who set off on her own disappeared without a trace and was never heard from again. There never was a Queen Tigraine. And Elaine is like, and yet Tigraine leaving is why you were able to ascend the throne. So did she win a war or did she just take that lady's place? I don't know. Then Elaine goes into this speech that does not make a whole lot of sense to me. She says, the pattern weaves in ways that we don't understand, but what we do know is the last battle is coming, and to think Andor won't be on the front lines of it is naive. When did Morghese ever imply that she didn't think Andor would be involved in the last battle?
As terrifying as it was to be dragged half a world away to farm, I fought in a battle against a Forsaken. I healed the Dragon Reborn as he clung to life. And here too, there's work I must do. I mean to make Andor's most important alliance ironclad.
What good is that if her mother loses the kingdom?
For Andor's sake or for Swan's?
For mine.
She says, I will go through the arches tonight. I will root out the shadow in this tower, and I will become the first Aes Sedai queen. No, she won't. if her mother loses, like, she's disregarding any danger that there might be. Like, she was just told by somebody who I believed was a confidant, somebody who she trusts, even though it's all artificial trust. That's information that she has gotten, and now here's Elaine, taking the information that she has and making a decision like, how do I go on from here? And even though the stuff that she's saying is true, it's like she's disregarding everything that she just learned. What about her mother and the kingdom? What if it's you're not going to be a queen if the kingdom is at risk, which is what Galad just told her, and it really seemed to affect her. So she should be making an argument even if Andor is lost. That would be much stronger. But I probably wouldn't have put her in this situation anyway if this was my script, or if this was what I was editing. I would have said, nah, we got to come up with a better reason for her to be staying at the tower. Maybe her mother doesn't even show up at this point. Or maybe she doesn't know what has happened, or it's been downplayed so much, or something. I don't even, oh my gosh, and that whole, look, there's just too much stuff that has happened in the past that makes this not work. And you can't erase all of that at this point. All the stuff that didn't happen in the books, but is happening here in the show, so we have to deal with what we've got. So you just have to kind of pretend that stuff didn't really happen. If you do nothing, nobody will notice, apparently. But if we take all of that and just remove it and we continue with the rest of her argument here, I guess it does make sense. She goes, as my queen, as your daughter heir, we both know safety is a luxury this world no longer affords us. My path will always lead back to Andor, unless your family loses the kingdom, whatever, to the Lion Throne. But I must earn it first, as you once did. I will be a better ruler for it. And her mother remarks like, oh, how did you get so wise? And she goes, I must have learned it from the best. No, you learned it from someone who is evil. But what she's saying isn't untrue. Yes, she should earn the throne as well, and not just, have it handed to her. Like, it'll be better. She'll be a better leader if she has to earn it. But she's not making a wise decision here, which makes her wise. The comment about her being so wise not make sense. Like, she should have come up with some argument for why, even if the kingdom is lost, she still should do this. Because that's what she was told, and she's disregarding that risk by making this decision with a disregard of that fear. Yeah, it's weak. I know this is supposed to be like this lovely mother-daughter moment here, but I have a hard time feeling that at all with the opening we had, where this woman literally had the children of her once friends turned enemies and then supposed to be allies again. Like, she literally promised them that everything would be forgiven after swearing their oaths to her, and then they did, and then she betrayed them. Like, she's not a good person. So it's hard for me to feel anything good about this, because I know that the mother is evil. Like, I felt better about her talking to Gabriel, who is a Forsaken. Like, that was a more loving bond. Like, that was a more heartfelt moment for me as the viewer. So we're finishing off this particular arc back in the hall with Morghese wearing her lacy cone again, which, again, the construction of this thing is wild. It's just very awkward. Like, having something that's mostly behind you and opens up around your neck, I get, but it looks like she can't even turn her face too much to the left or right because it's like here. But okay. But yeah, so Siuan very snarkily is like, I hope you're leaving with everything that you wanted to get, or whatever. It's very snarky. And I'm so glad Morghese comes back at her, and she's like, yeah, well, you might have heard I'm leaving my sons here. And Siuan's like, I'm sure the novices will never recover from, whatever. Either way, it's a stupid joke. I mean, it wasn't all that stupid. It's actually kind of cute. Again, not book accurate, but whatever.
I'm also leaving Elida Sedai here at the tower.
There's been an Aes Sedai advisor in Andor for over 1,000 years.
I'm sure the tower can use as many strong sisters as it can get right now. And who's stronger than the woman who almost bested you to the Amelin seat?
Siuan deserved this, I'm sorry. And then Morghese gets in a last final jab. She goes, you encouraged me to speak freely, so let me do just that. If anything happens to Elaine, and I mean anything, the next time I come to these shining walls, I will have my army at my back. The tower has never tested itself against the full strength of Andor, and I don't think either of us wants to see what will happen if it does. And Siuan is like, I assure you, we do not. And at that, Morghese leaves. I'm sorry, but this was not a good look for Siuan at all. And if they're doing this in order to lead up to her being deposed by Elida, like that's good. Like this is all good. It's a shame because I get a very strong impression. I'm on book 6 and Suan has a pretty big role and it's not over. And it's all part of her being very good at being manipulative and a leader, the person who can move chess pieces around on the table, even when those pieces aren't technically her own. So this just does not create for me an image of somebody who's capable of that sort of thing. And that is the end of this arc with Elaine and Nynaeve at the tower. And I like that it ends with Elida getting a sort of she gets a moment with the camera looking over at Suan, and Suan just walks off. But it doesn't, anyway, I'm glad that we've got Elida in the game here because I want Suan to be dethroned. Like, she needs to be out of here. All right, now we're moving on to Rand. So our first scene is of Egwene, Moiraine, Lan, Rand, and Aviendha walking through the mountains. Obviously, they're heading towards the waste, and they are walking here instead of taking the portal stones because we have not introduced the portal stone, something which did come into play in book 2. So there are these stones that can be used to transport people more quickly through space. And that's something that Rand figures out how to do in book 2. So by the time we get to this spot in book, I think it's 4, or is it 3? I think it's 4. It's 4. He just takes basically an entire army through the portal stones, and some very interesting stuff happens during there. You might have heard the term flicker, flicker, flicker. It happens there because basically everybody goes through in their mind possible lives. Whatever, it almost drives everybody insane, but they immediately pop out right where they wanted to be in the middle of the waste. But here they're walking. So why would you make this decision? I think you would do this because you need there to be a space of time, because you need to stretch something out. Like maybe you don't have enough plot, which in Rand's case, that should not be the case at all. We should have lots of plot happening with him, and this is not really a place you would stretch it out. But okay, maybe they're going to move some things into this space. And they do that. They move some of Lan's training moments with Rand, which happened in book 2. Now we're here in book 4 stuff, and he's going to do it here. But this first scene is literally just an establishing shot, and then we get a snarky little comment from Aviendha.
We're almost through the spine of the world, but the pass is too far ahead.
I would make it before night on foot, but we'll camp here.
It's so insulting. I might be remembering wrong, but I seem to recall Aviendha made comments like this to Rand when she was trying to push him away because she was attracted to him. But she wasn't like this to everybody. Like, she and Elaine got along really well. They were quite nice to each other. Obviously, in the show, they kept that up. But she wasn't this vinegar-spitting girl in the book just because people are wetlanders. It was basically just to Rand because of who he was and how she felt about him. But anyway, that's all we get for this first scene. I would be more okay with this as a first scene if we had a lot of time to tell story. But we've cut so much of Rand's stuff out and added other things in. It's hard to appreciate taking a pause like this. Like, I liked the cinematography. I liked the place where they're at. It's gorgeous. But again, anyway, all right, let's go on. I do want to mark this. I actually really like the soundtrack here. It's not, like, they definitely have a signature sound to this show. And that's something I've always appreciated music. I grew up on classical music, and this is something that I really enjoy is hearing a new sound. And they've gotten that for this show without it feeling inorganic or corny. Like, there are themes to characters and situations, and I'm picking up on all of them. And I like this. This is a good one. In the next scene, the group has stopped at what appears to be almost sunset, but not quite. I mean, they definitely could have kept going some more. But Rand and Lan are practicing some sword forms, and Lan notices that Rand is not paying full attention to what he's doing. He's like, you're distracted. Like, you want to talk about it? And Rand is like, nope. And he's like, all right, let's keep going then. Show me parting the silk, which is a term we heard earlier. I kind of would have liked to have seen what parting the silk is, just saying. There's no way it could just be this twirling of the sword thing that they both do an excess of times in this show, but that's okay. It looks pretty. I'm not going to comment, even though I really want to. Anyway, Egwene's watching, and Moiraine is collecting firewood. I don't know why Egwene wasn't off collecting firewood. She is the younger and more spry of the two, but anyway, Moiraine totally invading Egwene's like personal space, just walks up to her and pulls her hair out of her face and notices some bruises on her. He's like, I've healed those bruises on you a while ago. And Moraine's like, did Rand do this to you? And Egwene's like, no. To me, there's a scene missing here. What they should have done is show her having the nightmares about being strangled by Rhenna in her sleep. And then we see the bruises here. And then we have Moiraine going, are those from him? Instead, it creates this moment where we, the audience, don't know what they're from. It's like, it's a mystery. Oh no, what is it? And then later we find out, oh, it's because she's being strangled in her sleep. But it's almost like it's a red herring. This is something where they are allowing this mystery to be presented, and then it's like not even that huge of a deal. Later on, we just find out that she's having, well, I mean, it is a big deal because she's dreaming about being strangled, and then the result is she's getting actual bruises on her neck. I mean, this should actually be very disturbing to Egwene and Rand. Like, does he not look at her body? I thought they're sleeping together now. He should notice this too and be like, how did that happen? And wonder, did I do that? That would be more likely. And then why is she keeping it a secret? No, I just keep having these nightmares and I wake up with bruises on my neck. Why does this not concern you? But yeah, so Egwene just, I'm not here to help you control Rand. And Moraine's like, well, you know what? You're the closest to him. And if he starts going mad, you're going to be the first one to notice. So basically she's saying she needs to be aware of this kind of stuff. And then she repeats that the more Rand channels, the more he's going to be in danger of going insane. And then we get interrupted by Aviendha showing up with a dead rabbit and saying she was almost faster than me. Almost. But yeah, Aviendha then notes that Rand is practicing with a sword, and she's like, why is he wasting his time with swords? It's not the Aiel way. When was the last time anybody caught their dinner with a sword? I mean, actually, I think if you can catch a rabbit with a spear, you probably could have used a sword. I'm just saying, it is actually impressive that she caught a rabbit with a spear. I mean, if it was like a deer or something, maybe, but even then, you'd use a bow. But whatever. Egwene comes to Rand's defense saying, look, he's trying. Can't you, just lay off of him? And Aviendha's like, you wouldn't understand. This sort of attitude, this very offended, defensive behavior is not likable at all. There is no effort on Aviendha's part to even explain it to somebody else. It's a very self-focused and uninterested in the rest of the world kind of way to be, which is never a good look. So what we need to have, at this point, I think Aviendha needs to have her pride dashed. Taking all of that out of this, just having a character who is so self-assured, like, I'm right, you guys are all idiots, you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. It's just not appealing at all. At some point, she's going to have to look at these people and recognize their merits, like the things that they have done or that they are capable of doing that are impressive or good or better than her in some ways. Otherwise, she just comes off as arrogant. And I didn't get that impression from her in the books. It became very obvious that she was only this way towards Rand. So I'm hoping that they don't continue this with Aviendha. It's quite obnoxious. And I actually like her character in the books quite a bit. So this is not a change that I enjoy. And I'm curious to see where the show is going to take it. Like, how are they going to give her her own... At this point, it's going to be a bit of a redemption. Anyway, so yeah, I am on Egwene's side in all of this. She's like, dude, we're on our way to the Aiel Waste, which we wouldn't be if Rand didn't decide, you know what, we should probably go and do that. Like, he's trying. But anyway, then we get this.
You wouldn't understand. Your wetland prophecies are also clean, so easy. Your dragon will either save the world or destroy it.
Aiel prophecies don't say the same?
The Caracarn shall spill out the blood of those who call themselves Aiel, as water on sand, and break them as dried twigs, yet the remnant of a remnant the Caracarn shall save, and they shall live. Our Caracarn is creation and destruction wrapped in one, balanced. It is my duty to return Rand al'Thor to the threefold land, to my home, so that he may save my people and destroy them. The prophecy does not say that I must enjoy the task.
It's a bit of forcing to get the conversation to this point, but it's really actually not that bad. All of this is good. It's good for the characters to hear this now because it highlights what the controversy is going to be coming forward. This is the thing that Rand is going to need to understand when he goes to the Aiel. Like, you are here because you are our chosen one, right? But being our chosen one also means that you're going to kill a bunch of us. Like, you're going to break us like twigs, basically. That's what it says. I don't think that the kind of hatred that we see coming from Aviendha here is something that the leadership of the Aiel would ever allow to continue among their people, because to me, it just seems like this would be very obviously the reason why people would turn against the Karakharn. You would either follow him believing you're the ones who are going to be saved, or you would reject him so that you're not one of the people that is destroyed, which basically is a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. But I feel like there wouldn't be this propagation of we're going to allow people to feel this much anger and bitterness towards their savior, their Karakharn, which is their leader. Like, he's the one who will deliver them out of the desert. Like, he will save them, but also cull from, like, I think that what probably would happen is people would believe they are going to be on the side of righteousness. That's usually where people fall in. They go, I think that, you know, if God is going to come down and judge all of us, I'm going to be one of the ones who goes to heaven because I'm doing the right thing. Like, people don't typically do things unless they think they are the right thing, even if it's just the right thing for themselves. They'll find ways to justify it for themselves. And I think that's what the attitude would be in this sort of situation where everybody's told, like, oh, he's going to save you, but a bunch of you are going to die. You're not going to be one of the ones who dies, basically. That's just a commentary on the scene itself, but otherwise it was all good. But anyway, we're moving on. I gotta get through this quick. I do not remember that happening. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay. That's like making me sick just thinking about it. Okay, so we do finally get the Egwene dreaming bit in this next scene. It's nighttime, everybody's asleep except Lan. He's doing his Lanny duty, which I like that. But then we get into Egwene's dream. Oh, just thinking about it's making me sick. She dreams she's back in her cell when she was held in Falm, and Rhenna comes up to her and is strangling her and is on top of her and starts vomiting into her mouth, or is it bleeding into her mouth? It doesn't matter. It's disgusting. It looks like jam falling out of Rhenna's mouth into Egwene's. So gross. Okay, then Egwene wakes up. She doesn't wake up. She flinches. I would have shown a bruise appear on her neck with just colored in there. Like, not like suddenly there's one there. I mean, like, we see it form or something. But anyway, then we go to, next to her is Rand, and he's dreaming also. That's a totally different dream. So we see what he's dreaming about. He is laying in bed, and Lanfear is, I don't know if it looks like she was just cuddling him or more, but she rolls off of him and goes and looks out the window, and he's like, I always thought this would be the only view that I would ever see, you know, that I'd spend the rest of my life in Kyrian in this room. And she goes, yeah, it might not have been that bad. And he goes, yeah, it's not a big enough life for you though, Lanfear. And she's like, yeah, it's not a big enough life for you either. Like, this is actually a normal, nice conversation. I like that, except that this is the devil. This is Lanfear. She's supposed to be bad. At no point in the books do I recall Rand ever trusting Lanfear, and here he's putting an awful lot of trust in her. Now, this is supposed to be one of his dreams with her, but Moraine said in the last episode, Rand told me that you have been visiting him in his dreams, and that you guys have been talking, and that he told you about going to pick up Kalendor and whatnot. And so this is just like his thing that he does. Has he told Egwene this stuff? I mean, yeah, we didn't see him engaging in anything, but he didn't exactly like shove her off. So this seems very dangerous to me, and I don't understand why he would put up with this. But in the show, they are saying that Rand, to some degree, trusts Lanfear, which is literally the opposite of what he did in the books and the opposite of what he was told to do in the books. And the repercussions of changing a relationship like that, it means you're going to have to do something totally different with this character if you want to even attempt to recreate the same themes that are explored by the writer, the Robert Jordan. But anyway, I'll keep going. I mean, the dialogue is working. Ugh, I still feel sick from that vomiting into Egwene's mouth thing. I actually really like the way Lanfear's hair is. Like, she looks great like this. she should have her hair like this all the time. It's just very elegant look for her. I hope this is what this actress's hair actually looks like in real life. But anyway, she's like, you're on your way to the Aiel Waste. I can tell. Like, what happened to Tyr and Calendor, you know? It's hard for me to protect you from the Forsaken if you don't tell me what you're doing or you're thinking. Is that the deal that they've made? She's going to protect him from the Forsaken? She is one of the Forsaken. How is Rand able to get past the fact that he knows she has sworn herself to the devil? This would be worse than trusting somebody who is a spy for the enemy. This is somebody who is actively in the control of the Dark One. I just don't, okay. We just had Mogideon in the previous episode talking about, you know what happens when you break your oaths to the Dark One? So like, what would happen if the Dark One was like, you are going to kill Rand? Like, kill him, find him and kill him. She would do it, because if she doesn't, she would lose her soul. She'd be dead. I'm confused. See, it makes so much more sense that Rand should not be trusting this woman at all, especially not to trust her, to rely on her for protection. Oh, whatever. Okay, we're moving on. We have to move on.
You're heading to the Aiel Waste. What happened to Tyr and Calendor? It's hard to protect you from the Forsaken if you don't tell me what you're doing. You're thinking.
Well, it's harder to find me now.
Perhaps. But don't get too comfortable around. There are dark friends everywhere.
I left the idea of comfort behind in the Two Rivers.
No, you didn't. Come on. I remember a few things we did in this room which were far more exciting than the sunrise.
Lanfear.
Is this about that doe-eyed cow?
Don't.
Is that where you draw the line? Name calling. You do amuse me around dance hall.
The order of these lines are a bit sloppy. What should have happened is he shouldn't have said anything like stop or like Lanfear until after she called Egwene a doe-eyed cow, because that would make her line about, is that where you draw the line, name calling, like that. No, he drew the line when you put his hands around your waist. It had nothing to do with the name calling. That was like, you took it a step further and then you're like, oh, is it because I called her names? No, it was because you made me touch you in a sexual way and I don't want to do that. Anyway, she says, someday Egwene's gonna see the darkness in you like I do. And then we get back into Egwene's dream and we get a look up at Rhenna standing over Egwene, and it's Lanfear's face. So Lanfear is simultaneously in two different people's dreams. And I don't recall this being a thing that she could do. It does make me wonder, but I mean, maybe they're implying that she goes into Egwene's dream and does something there, and then she goes into Rand's dream and does stuff there. But the editing confuses that. It would have been better to have all of this with Egwene and then go over to Rand in order to make sure that that's not a bit of confusion, unless they are trying to say that no, Lanfear can be in two places at once. But yeah, so we get some editing here where we're going back and forth between Egwene being strangled by Rhenna, and which is Lanfear, and then Lanfear snuggling in close to Rand and like making the moves on him again. And then right when he almost starts to engage with her, she backs off and she's like, like rules are rules, remember? Like, anyway, she says, enjoy the sunset. And then we cut away from that. And we see that in Egwene's dream, Egwene sort of dissipates the moment that Lanfear disappears from Rand's dream. And she reappears in the middle of the Sahara Desert, which is supposed to be the waste, and comes across this Aiel woman who walks up to her. And the Aiel woman says, you do not belong here. And that freaks Egwene out and she wakes up. I am a little shocked that she was freaked out by that and not by Rhenna strangling her, but okay. Anyway, Rand wakes up and like, oh, it's okay, you're all right, everything's safe. But he asks her, what was it? Was it Rhenna? And she's like, yeah, it was Rhenna, but something I don't understand, an Aiel woman in the desert. And Rand goes, I have nightmares too. I remember things that I've done. I like that they're having this moment where they're acting like a couple, like she's telling him what's going on in her dream. He's kind of telling her also. I don't know if it's like true that he remembers things he did that he regrets. What has he done that he regrets though, other than banging Lanfear, who turned out to be the devil? Did he do anything bad? Oh wait, he did kill that guy back in Kyrian. Or he badly injured him. It was not really clear. Seemed like he killed him. And anyway, Rand tells her, like, what you had to go through was terrible. And she's like, I don't regret it. If Rhenna was here, I would kill her again. I just wish that she would stay dead. And I don't know what exactly the show's trying to imply, but it sort of this disturbing sort of music plays while we're looking at Rand looking like he's a little bit disturbed. But I don't know if this is they're trying to indicate that the two of them are growing apart. But I mean, if I was Rand, I'd be pretty annoyed because she was the one who left in the first place and then got mad at him for not taking it back. Oh my gosh. And then, I don't know, whatever. I sort of hope he leaves her. Like, in the book, they just stopped really loving each other, like, romantically. It was just that they realized we grew apart and everything's good. You can do your thing. I just love you like a sibling. But I really want Rand to dump her. I hope that happens. Then we've got Moiraine and Rand sitting together, and Rand's like, hey, you gonna keep ignoring me forever? I never got the impression that Moiraine was ignoring him. So they're telling us what the situation has been. Apparently Moraine's been ignoring Rand, but he's like, I like training with a sword and working with land because he listens to me and I feel grounded, like I can control this. And then Moiraine segues into, well, that, you know, you have to start channeling again. Like, you need to do it. Then she makes the assumption, I know you're afraid. And he goes, I'm not afraid. And then he describes what it feels like to channel.
You don't understand at all, do you? I'm dying of thirst. And there it is, a pond right in front of me, and the water tastes like life itself.
Trust me, I understand.
Shut your pie hole! It's so sweet, but it's poison too. It fills my stomach with filth. So bitter, but I don't care, because I just want to taste the sweetness forever. Do you understand that?
No, but you will have to. You have to embrace the bitter and the sweet. You never forget which is which.
And I actually really like all of this, and a lot of it comes pretty much right from the book. And during that whole thing, you see, first of all, Moiraine looking at him channeling, and I'm like, she shouldn't be able to see him channeling. Like that, I really think that the show has neglected to make clear that women cannot see men channeling, men cannot see women channeling, except Rand, who can kind of almost see it. He can sense something. But at least she, like, is like, yeah, I don't have to worry about that. So she's like, yeah, I don't understand that. And she goes, but you will have to. You have to embrace the bitter and the sweet so you never forget which is which. That did not make any sense to me. What she should have done is just say, like, look, you need to learn how to control the one power so that you can be useful in your mission of saving the world. That's all you gotta say. What does it matter if he tastes the bitter and the sweet and knows the difference between the two, if no matter what, when he channels, he's going to get them both? In the next scene, they're continuing their hike. They come over a ridge and you can see the Aiel Waste. It's just this flat desert that goes on. I mean, this is a beautiful place. Wherever they are, this is stunning. What I didn't like is that everybody who's climbed up to this ridge, they're just staring out at the waste. And Lan is the only one who's puffed out. Like, I wonder if the actor smokes or something and they really went to do some hiking in this area and he's just genuinely puffed out. I notice this sort of thing because I'm an asthmatic. And when I see people doing stuff and they're having difficulty breathing, I go, oh, this poor thing, like, you need some Ventolin? Okay, but this part I don't get at all. So Aviendha comes rushing up and like, who the heck did you tell that we were coming here? Who did you tell? And they're like, nobody, we told nobody. And then you see a bunch of other Aiel come up onto the ridge like they've been there waiting for them, including the woman from Egwene's dream, and she's shocked to see her. But I don't understand why Aviendha was so freaked out at that moment, because these are her friends. These are her people. And why did these people come up and like with their spears ready to attack them if they saw Aviendha and were like, oh, they're with her, like they're with us. But anyway, whatever, okay. The leader of the band leans over to the lady and goes, this is him? Gesturing to Rand. And the lady says, he will come from the west, beyond the spine of the world, of the blood, but not raised by the blood. He will tie us together with bonds we cannot break. He will take us back home and he will destroy us. And it ends with that for Rand and his group. We didn't really do a whole lot with him, but it was because we were so busy with Elaine and the politics in the castle, in the tower. But anyway, no complaints really on that last bit, except for the stuff that I already mentioned. Moving on. There are so many problems with this, but if we're going to pretend that the things they did in season 1 and 2 never happened, it's perfectly book accurate and fine. Because see, if we were doing the things that were happening in season 1 and 2, Loial risked everybody's lives in season 1. He could have taken them through the ways with no channeling at all, but he chose to keep this leaf thing a secret. But okay, let's take that out of it. Like, let's pretend season 1 and 2 did not happen. Why is Perrin taking the ways all the way to the Two Rivers? He's not going home for any urgent reason. He's going home literally because he's homesick. I'm not even sure why is Loial choosing to go with him? So in the books, and thank you to the person who reminded me of this because I completely forgot it, Loial wants to follow these heroes around because he's like, this is a legend in the making. I want to be here to document all of it. Why would he pick the kid who's like, I'm homesick, I'm going home? Why would he go with that kid and not go with the dragon? That does not make any sense. And definitely it doesn't make sense that they would risk their lives by going through the ways when it's just Perrin being homesick. Just saying. Okay, so Perrin comes out and looks at some tracks and then he's smelling and he's like, 2 people have been this way. Like they came out of the gateway also. It was a man and a woman, and it's weird. I smell ash. And then Loial goes, only dark friends would dare navigate the ways without an Ogier. So we know that this is, like, because I've seen this episode before, I know that he's talking about Alanna and Maxine, because Alana's got some ashes on her face, so that's what he's smelling. And obviously she's a woman and a man, but they still came through the ways. So what is going to be the reason, if only dark friends would go through the ways without an Ogier? Is this them just trying to insert some intensity, like, oh no, is there a dark friend that we're going to come across, a Forsaken or somebody? I don't know. Oh. It's kind of, I guess, just like what we did with everybody being scared when the Aiel showed up, even though they were friends. Like, we're setting up that you should be afraid of who just came through the gates. Unless Alanna is a dark friend and I don't know about it. And we kind of finish off this scene with a bit of telling.
We should have gone to a steading first. Oh yeah.
No. The longing takes, well, a very long time to do its work.
What is this longing?
When Ogier are away from the steading, we begin to suffer ill effects. Our health declines until, eventually...
What are they doing? They're just standing there and talking.
But it is good to feel it. It is the remembrance in our bones of our home.
I am so bored.
Of our ancestors, of the things we shouldn't forget.
At this point, I don't see them having a reason to go to a steading, so I'm not really sure why this is put in here, unless we are foreshadowing that Loial is going to die. I wonder if they're going to... They tried to kill him off in season 1, and I think that they're like, oh wait, we should probably keep in the story. And then by season 2, he was back alive again. I wonder if they're considering killing him off again, because he really has done nothing in the show. He has been not useful basically at all. And here they're trying to say that, oh, you really shouldn't go through the ways without an Ogier. Like, you need one of us. I don't know why you need one if all you got to do is take that leaf. But see, in the books, there really was a reason why. It's because they can read the signposts, essentially, and they know how to navigate through the ways. They know where, like, oh, you want to go here? Yeah, I'll be able to read all the signs and figure out how to get there. And other people wouldn't be, like humans wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know, let's just keep going. Next scene, they come over a ridge and Loial is like, you're right, the air here is better. And he's having difficulty describing what it feels like. And that's when one of the Aiel girls goes,
It's clean.
Like the Threefold Land.
I like this place. Too much water still in the trees is still too big and too many, but I like it.
And this is where Manethrin once stood, one of the greatest cities and armies the world has ever seen.
It was a long time ago. We're farmers and shepherds now.
If you say it. I've seen you dance the spears.
So this is all good. This is actually foreshadowing for what is going to happen in Perrin's story coming up here, because he is going to lead the Two Rivers people, actually the people in this whole area. They're going to all come together under his leadership and essentially become an army, along with the White Cloaks. But anyway, I just gotta say, these 2 Aiel women are way more likable than Aviendha in the show so far. We're back in the Two Rivers. And look, the Wine Spring Inn is rebuilt. Because remember, at the end of season 1, Moraine basically demolished it. at least the front half of it. While the show is doing a good job of portraying this as a busier town, which is accurate to the book, they get there and more people are passing through. Like, there are more people there than he recognizes. Nobody recognizes Perrin at all. I mean, the only thing different about him is his beard is a bit longer and his hair is a bit longer. That's it. There's not... I'm shocked that he doesn't seem to recognize anybody. Like, you would think, because he's only been gone for, it seems like a year, maybe? A little more than a year? Either way, even if you were gone only 2 years, you would recognize, like, this old man or those kids, and they would recognize you because this is a small town that was isolated. They would know each other really well. You would even recognize somebody's walk. But anyway, that's okay. It's a small complaint. Moving on. Anyway, Perrin walks over into the blacksmith shop, which is where he killed his wife, and starts having PTSD and remembering, you know, killing his wife. Like, this is the most that we have seen him mourn or be affected by his wife's death since that one nightmare where he had of wolves eating his wife way back in season 1. This is how it should have been with Perrin a lot. He should have constantly been in a state of dreaming about her and having difficulty of letting go of what he did. But they couldn't do that because it would alter his path so significantly from what it was in the book, because he did not have a wife who he accidentally killed. But it does make it look like he didn't think about her pretty much until he's back in the place where he killed her. And he gets distracted by some white cloaks who gallop by all on horseback, and they're doing so right through town as if this is totally normal. Anyway, Egwene's mother finally recognizes Perrin and goes up to him and gives him a hug. And she's like, I didn't recognize you without, with the beard, and, you look like a proper man. Like, okay, he doesn't look that different, but okay. But then she says, I had a letter from Egwene, and she didn't tell me that you were coming, let alone with company. There is something that I really loved in the book, and it was this guilt that Perrin felt at hearing this, because it occurs to him, I never wrote any letters home to, like, tell my family that I was safe. Egwene did, of course. She thought to make sure her family knew, like, hey, everything's okay, don't worry about me, I'm doing well in Tar Valon. And he and the boys just, like, blew off their families. And he felt really bad about that. And I really liked that moment, because I was like, yeah, that's why what you did was not cool. Anyway, she gets introduced to Loyal and to the maidens. Perrin's like, why are there white cloaks here? What's going on? And she's like, the mom is like, it's not safe. You need to come and hide in the wine spring attic with the others and then get out of here tomorrow, because it is really not safe for you here.
We thought it best for them to stay up here, out of the way, before people started gossiping.
Maren, just wait. I can't follow what you're saying.
Imagine running into Perrin Ibarra in the Two Rivers. The wheel really does weave as it wills.
And I don't think that the two of them know each other. Are we supposed to get from this that Alanna has been told so much about Perrin that she would literally recognize who he is just by looking at him? Like, did somebody give her a picture of him? Now, in the book, Varen and Alanna show up in the Two Rivers because they are trying to recruit more Aes Sedai. There was no weird situation where it would be awkward for Alanna to not be back in Tar Valon or hunting Liandrin. Like, she should have been in one of those two situations, protecting the White Tower or hunting down the Black Aja. That's what she should be doing, but she's not. She's here. Anyway, I can't remember what her excuse is for being here, but let's find out. In the next scene, Egwene's mom is explaining what has been going on in the Two Rivers. She says that, well, the Trollocs have been an issue. Not nearly as bad as the big attack on the town before, but they show up in groups of like 2s and 3s or whatever and attack farms. First they take sheep and cows, but then at one point they took this one family's kids, like killed them, and that's when the White Cloaks showed up. And she says, they said they came here for you, Perrin. And he's like, for me? What? And Alana's like, they said you killed Jeffrey Bornhall, whatever. Jeffrey Bornhall. Freaking can't say the name. And they've been saying that Perrin is a dark friend, and Max seems like it's probably the eyes. And Egwene's mom says, yeah, nobody believes that except for like 2 troublemaking families, whatever. She says the White Cloak started offering money for you, for anybody related to you, and Perrin's worried about his family. And she's like, oh, don't worry. These guys got, some of the men got them out of here before they could have been captured or anything. She's like, but I thought men sworn to the light would have been better than that. In the books, Perrin's family is killed while he's gone. And it's his big tragedy that he has to deal with. Like, this is his moment, his big moment of change happens here, the internal moment. And here, because they're alive right now, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe they're gonna die in battle, because there is gonna be some battles coming up here that Perrin's involved in, so I don't know. And one of the Aiel women is like, why didn't you just fight them off? And Egwene's mom is like, we're not fighters, we're just farmers and sheep. Like, we don't know how to do that stuff. And she points out that the White Cloaks actually do help us defend ourselves against the Trollocs. But the other Aiel woman says that you're trading one evil for another. Maybe they're saving you from the Trollocs, but they are putting the rest of you guys at threat, essentially.
What about you two? Did you use the ways to come here? Nynaeve told me you were in the battle with the Black Aja, and that no one knew where you went after it ended. She was worried about you after what happened to your other warder, Ivan.
What are they doing now? They're still just talking, and they're still just standing there.
Why should any of you worry yourselves about us?
May I ask, what happened to your shoulder, Aes Sedai?
Trollocs.
Few out there in the woods now.
Enough of this talk.
Oh, God, yes, finally! Some freaking peace and quiet! I thought that was gonna drive me nuts!
This was all just like information that was quickly being given to us to get it all out in this one scene. Egwene's mom's like, we're gonna get you some horses and get you out of here tomorrow morning, you know, get you out of here. And Perrin's like, no, like, we're not leaving. What they said is true. I did kill Jeffrey Bornhald in Falm. And he says, if they are looking for me, then there's a simple solution to all of this. I'll just turn myself in. And we end the scene there. And so they are bringing this back to Perrin willing to sacrifice himself for the safety of the town. But it still doesn't make, whatever. All right, final storyline. We are looking at Matt and a little bit of Nynaeve. He is with the Yellow Aja getting, I don't know if they're trying to heal him or just figure out what's wrong with him, but Rima is running this. And the last time we saw her, she was being collared and thrown onto, she was being enslaved by the Shan-Chan. So either she escaped somehow or was rescued, but we never talked about that. I don't know. She's at work again now, though. Anyway, they stop what they're doing, and Nynaeve talks to Rima and says, like, any progress? Rima's like, no, unfortunately, we couldn't really do anything. The mind is a slippery patient, and we've never really seen anything like your friend's problem before. Nynaeve is wondering, is there anything else you guys can do for him? And they're like, well, we'll keep him under observation, but we can't do anything for an affliction of the mind. I'm afraid that it would be as useless as trying to bring back somebody from the dead. Now, in the book, Matt is sick because of the dagger of Shadar Logoth. He still has it. It's still affecting him. He can't really be separated from it. And it takes a whole bunch of Yellow Aja and Aes Sedai to heal him of it and get him separated from it. But in the show, I think he still has it. They haven't showed us that he has it, but they certainly didn't show him getting rid of it in the end of season 8 or 2, episode 8 of season 2. So I think he's probably still got it and that's what's making him sick. But if that is the case, they should really show us that he still has it. Like maybe in the previous episode when he went down to the kitchen and Nynaeve came up in the middle of the night, maybe he should have had it on him. Like we noticed it, like he had it tucked somewhere away and was hiding it from everybody else. Except they made such a big deal about him not physically touching it the night before, like in the ending, whatever. Anyway, it's not supposed to be the horn because the horn is a good thing. It's not an evil thing that would make him sick. He was literally dying from this dagger, and that's why he had to be healed in the tower. So I don't know what they're trying to do here, what they're changing about him, but well, anyway, let's keep going. The next scene related to Matt, but not exactly, is when we were in the in Suan's office with Min, and she's telling Suan about, I've been having visions of Aes Sedai dying, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do know that it is going to happen. And then we cut back to Matt. Basically, I think he's in his room, and they're implying that they're playing with the words as if he is getting some sort of a hand job by some girl. And then we find out that no, he's just talking to her about, how to hold the horn correctly. She's about to blow the horn, but then they get interrupted when another novice walks in, and Matt's like, oh, you told a friend to come? Very cheeky. And the friend is like, the Andoran princes are here. And then Matt goes, oh, cheeky indeed. Like he's all ready for like a 5-some, I think. Okay. But the girl who was with him just totally blows him off and takes off to go see the princes fighting. Then we jump from that to the fight where, not the fight, but the scene happening in the Warders training circle or whatever, where we've got the two brothers of Elaine fighting each other and showing off, and all the girls going nuts, which is a cute scene. I really enjoyed that. In the books, Gilad was pretty much described as like unreasonably good looking.
Proud owner of Blue Steel, the look that made him the legend he is today.
He's almost too good looking.
Hey, Paco!
That would be my main deterrent in, considering a relationship.
I am not going to comment on the choreography, but Matt shows up and he's watching the princes looking great, and he's fiddling with their swords and knocks a bunch of them over. And Min is there, staying out of sight, drinking, of course. So Matt wanders over towards Elaine and Nynaeve, and he's like, I didn't think that you guys would be into this sort of thing. Well, Nynaeve anyway. And she's like, I think everybody's into this sort of thing, which I liked. But he asks, what, so these are princes, who are they? And Elaine's like, they're my brothers. And that's when I think I've already commented on all of this, but they're showing Matt to be very jealous of these two. And he really didn't, if I recall, have a whole lot of interaction with the two men before fighting them, but he does eventually fight them and beat them pretty handily. But they do have Matt being very jealous here and building up a reason for him to want to fight the guys. I mean, he doesn't know them. He's just picking up on they're getting more attention than I am. They are making him so shallow in this, when he's literally the guy that the girls go to for help when they need something done. Like, hey, we really need to get this message to Elaine's mother, and you're the only one we can think of, like, to trust with this task. And so he's able to save the day. And then he ends up saving Elaine's life, basically. Actually, he saves all the girls at the end. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that, but he totally saves everybody's butts. Anyway, we'll see if that happens. He's being portrayed as a very small person in this, and it's not really, I'm thinking that they're trying to show that he's going to grow into this great person, but the thing is that he was showing all the signs of greatness already in the books. So I understand people being upset about Matt not being portrayed as he is in the books. Like, he's not somebody who was, just a slough off and does nothing, and, all he cares about is getting attention and the girls and stuff, and then he gets guilted into doing the right thing, which is basically what they've been doing with him. He had that impulse to do the right thing anyway. He would always do the right, like, he wouldn't be tempted to leave his friends while they are in danger. He wants to avoid being caught up in chaos, but it's like he doesn't want to be aware of it, because he knows if he's aware of it, he's going to get involved. But if there's any sign of danger or anything, he's there. And here he's just being made out to be this jealous, whining, really immature and stupid guy. So whatever. Anyway, Matt's like, seen enough, I'm out of here. And he takes off. Okay. I'm probably not gonna be able to show any clips from this because I will have to rate my video differently. And anyway, Matt is in his room and he can hear loud banging happening on both sides of his room, and suddenly somebody knocks on his door and he's like all excited, and so he gets up, and before he reaches the door he quickly opens up his robe and then licks his fingers and grooms the tiny bits of chest hair that he's got. That was great. Like, good on, that was so funny. I enjoyed that. But then he answers the door, and who is it? It's Min. She just walks right past him into his room and is like, oh my gosh, put a shirt on. And he's like, what the heck? Like, I didn't invite you to come in here and look at me. Like, what are you wearing anyway? You look like a servant. Why are they talking like they're on friendly terms at all? The last time he saw her, she just admitted to bringing him to Falm to sell him out to the devil. That there is no reason why he should trust her. Like, they did not part on good terms at all. He should be really worried about her being there. He should be like, oh my gosh, I need to tell Suan, somebody, like, she's working with the Forsaken. Now that would totally screw up her presence in the tower with Suan. I can't remember if they explain why she is there and Matt is okay with it and not telling other people, but you would think that he would tell somebody, Min was bringing me to Falm to kill Rand because she was working with the dark friends, the Forsaken, not even just the dark friends, literally the Forsaken, like the really bad guys. This wasn't one of their underlings like Leandrin or whatever, although it was Leandrin. It was also Ishamael himself, the main bad guy. I don't understand why this conversation is happening as if they knew each other were there. Yeah, well, she asks what the hell is going on and about the noise coming from the other two rooms. And he's like, yep, that's Gilad and that's Gowan over there. And he's like, I would rather be in my prison cell at this point. Whatever, anyway, he goes, why are you here? And she says, the Amerlin seat wants to see you. And he's like, there it is. He should tell Suan right there in their meeting that's about to happen. Min was working with Ishamael. She might know who some of the dark friends are in the tower. Anyway, it's really odd. And he's like, oh, you're working for the Amerlin seat, like of everybody, like of, the Amerlin seat herself, not just the tower. Like he doesn't trust the Aes Sedai. Like I get that they're not supposed to want him to trust the Aes Sedai, but the thing is that he's there to be healed by the Aes Sedai, so it's a little conflicting, but whatever. I don't even know how to think about this, except that why the hell are they on friendly terms with each other at all? It's like we're brushing aside all of the drama that happened to them in that one scene at the end of, I forget which episode it was 6 or 7, doesn't matter. It was one, I think it was 6. Like, did that mean anything? Or we're just gonna pretend it wasn't that big a deal? Okay, and now they do finally jump into him being upset about how things ended with them the last time. He's like, yeah, you could say I'm a bit upset about how you sold me out to the Forsaken. This is not a little deal. This is not like you turned me over to the enemy sports team. This is like you almost cost the world its victory over eternal destruction. This is a big deal. You don't just give somebody like that a second chance. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Don't think about it. Okay. At least they're making him mad now. I don't think that they would have so casually had any conversation before him bringing this point up.
I know you're upset with me for how things went the last time we saw each other, but...
Yes, you could say that I'm still a bit upset about how you sold me out to the Forsaken.
I'm trying to apologise.
And I don't hear you saying the word sorry.
I am, Matt. I'm sorry.
Sorry? No, sorry doesn't cut it.
She does not sound sorry. Like, she should be on her knees begging for forgiveness because of what she almost did to him. He cuts her off and is like, well, the Amerlin seat wants to see me? Fine, let's go. And she's like, bring the horn. He's like, oh, you heard about that? Yeah, everybody heard about that because you were literally announcing it to everyone in Tarvalon. Anyway, we show up in Suan's office where she's drinking tea and seems a little unsure about it. But Min is silently dismissed, and Matron's like, well, nice to meet you, Your Majesty. I actually kind of liked that. And he's like, I am the horn blower at your service, whatever. And she's like, oh, have a seat. And so he sits down and she's like, I understand that you blew the horn of Valir and summoned the heroes of ages. What Suan starts doing here, it's so obnoxious. Why do they have these characters doing these really annoying things? So she's being very condescending to Matt in a very obvious way. I mean, actually, the actress is pulling it off as non-irritatingly as possible, so props to this actress. But it is still so unlikable for the character.
I understand, Matrim, that you blew the Horn of Valir. That you summoned the greatest heroes from ages past to battle against the Forsaken Ishamael at Farm.
Well, normally I would never be one to brag, but I can humbly confirm that what you say is indeed factually correct.
Phew. It is a powerful object, the Horn of Valir.
Yeah.
For you, it will summon dead heroes back from the grave. For anyone else, it's only a horn. So long as you live.
Thank you. Sorry, so long as I live.
If you die, then the ownership of the horn goes to the next person who blows it. So I'm sure you wouldn't want to tell anyone about being the horn blower or about having the horn in your possession, fully accessible to anyone who might want to kill you and take it.
No.
And I'm sure you would never use it as social capital among the novices of this very tower. Or do something as stupid as have your portrait painted posing with it.
I would never. No.
Would you like to give the horn to me for safekeeping?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
She's saying it like she means it. Like, this actress is doing such a good job. And I mean, he's actually doing a pretty good job too, not being a total ass. The actor, I mean. But still, what's happening here is so obnoxious. Why is she being so condescending? And why is he acting so stupid? He was announcing it to everyone. He was bragging about it to everybody. Literally every scene that he's had, pretty much, he's talked about how he blew the horn and like, you should worship me. And he was jealous of people who like, anyway, but I think this might be one of the best acted scenes that I have seen so far, because this scene had the potential to be so obnoxious. But because you have people with talent actually performing this, they are doing it in a way that feels authentic and as least offensive as possible. But because my job is writing, I have to look at this through the lens of what is actually being said and what is actually being done and judge it on that. And it just doesn't stand up. Siuan is being extraordinarily condescending here. And Matt is just being such a sleaze slime ball. And this is not what either one of these people are. Siuan doesn't lower herself to play into somebody's pride and be condescending at the same time. She would just flat out tell you, you are a child, I know what I'm doing. She's very upfront about who she is. And you can say all you want about like, oh, isn't that less likable? No, it's more honest. That's what it is. In the book, the horn eventually ends up in Siuan's possession, but it wasn't entrusted to Matt to carry around after he blew it. It was always a really important object that Moiraine should have known not to let Matt just hold on to. So if she was letting him carry it around for a whole month after Fallen, she's a freaking moron. And the reason is because of this rule. Anybody could kill Matt, take the horn and blow through it, and boom, they are the new owner of the horn. They are the only ones, they are the only person who can summon the heroes of ages to fight for them. Yeah, but she goes on saying, I'm sure you would never be so stupid as to go around announcing that you're the one who blew it, or that you have it, or, you know, use it as a way to gain the admiration of the novices, or get your portrait painted with it. Like, she's just laying out everything that she knows that he's done. If she knew he had the horn all this time, why has she left it in his possession all this time? And why hasn't one of the Black Aja come and stolen it from him and killed him? There are Black Aja still in the tower. Why has one of them not killed him and taken the horn? I don't think that would have been that hard to do. There's been plenty of times where he's just alone in his room inviting novices in. You just have to catch him while he's alone in there once, dead, take the horn, skedaddle. Really? This horn must not be that important. It's so sad that Ingtar died to save it. Anyway, she offers to take the horn for safekeeping, which still does not protect Matt from being killed by people who want the ownership of the horn to not be him. I mean, really what they should do is, if you're a dark friend now at this point, you kidnap Matt and put him in a deep, dark dungeon somewhere far away and keep him healthy and alive, because you don't want him to die. You don't want anybody on the good side to be able to use the Horn of Valyr ever again. Oh my gosh, this has just opened up so many loopholes that could be taken advantage of. Anyway, he gives her the horn and she sets it aside, and then she says, you know, you remind me of someone, my Uncle Juan. No one could ever pin him down. He liked to gamble too, and he'd much rather have fun than go to work. He died pulling children from a burning house. He wouldn't stop going back in till the last one was out. Are you like him, Matt? Will you be there when the flames are high? And he says, I'm no hero. I do what I have to do, but I'm no hero. And she says, those we call heroes only did what they had to do. Anyway, you can go. And then he leaves. I actually like that little exchange there, and I'm gonna have to see what they do with his character going forward before I can comment on how this is gonna be a reflection of what his journey is. Because in the books, that is kind of who he is. He likes to just have fun. He doesn't want to get involved in drama or anything like that, but when things get bad, he's there for them. The unfortunate thing is in the show, he has not really been that. He ran away before going to the Eye of the World, and then when Rand was in danger, rather than just warn him like, hey, I can't go with you to Fallen because I met somebody who can see the future. It's that Min girl that you met, apparently. I ran into her, and she said, I'm gonna stab you if I go with you to Falm and kill you, so we can't have that happen. Like, he didn't even have the courtesy to just inform Rand of that stuff, whatever. But he did come back, and saved the day with the horn, but he didn't go to Falm to help by choice. He got caught up in the battle because he was brought there by Lanfear, and then he had to get out of the Forsaken's custody. He was saving his own butt. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay, so let's just whatever. I do hope that they find the dagger still in his possession, because where the hell is it? Was it just left sitting up there on the tower in Falm? Who picked it up? I don't think that thing is safe to just be floating around out there. Anyway, that's it for this episode. We are done. I have to actually say, this was kind of a boring episode. The dialogue in each individual scene was better. But again, what it's doing and what it's ignoring is annoying to me. It's very hard for me to get past all of that. But I liked the interactions that we had. I liked the performances of all of the actors, and we'll just have to see where this goes. But that's it for now. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Remember, even if it's just with an emoji, that helps this video a lot. Or if you're feeling super generous because Amazon might be claiming this video and taking all the money that I make off of it, consider Patreon, Ko-fi, or hitting the money heart thanks button down below. You can leave a tip, or you can become a subscriber, whatever. You get the idea. I think I already said that. My brain is very tired. It's exhausting doing this, and I'm sure this video is really long. I tried to keep it under 2 hours. Maybe I accomplished that, maybe I didn't, but we'll see. That's it. Be good to yourself.